Ben Shenassafar's name may not immediately ring a bell, but you may know him as Ben Hundreds, his street alias and co-founder of the iconic brand, The Hundreds. Founded in 2003 alongside Bobby Kim, The Hundreds wasn't just about clothing. It was a lifestyle, representing the essence of skate culture, hip-hop, and the rebellious spirit of Los Angeles. Over the years, The Hundreds has become one of the most influential brands in the fashion world, redefining how style intersects with street culture. The success of The Hundreds wasn't just about luck. It was Ben and his team's ability to spot a cultural shift within a generation that would spark a legacy. But often that clarity isn't immediate. It's more of a gut feeling in the moment, like you're onto something big. Now, after conquering the streetwear scene, Ben is venturing into a new world, the restaurant industry. With the opening of the Benjamin in Hollywood, Ben is bringing his vision of style, storytelling, and community into the world of food. Think of the Benjamin as a modern homage to the glitz and glamour of old Hollywood. Martini in one hand and a shrimp cocktail in the other. But these are really good classic American dishes reimagined through a contemporary lens. In many ways, it feels like the Benjamin has been here all along. And that is a sign of a classic in the making. This is Unplated. What's up, Ben?
What up?
You're involved in many things.
Yeah. I mean, over the years, I have been.
Were you always like that? Like growing up, were you always wanting to be involved in multiple things, multiple projects?
I don't know if it's necessarily like I grew up thinking like I'm going to do a million things the way I am. But, you know, when Bobby and I started the Hundreds, we were always the ones that they were like, you know, 21, 22 years ago when we started the brand. And we were thinking about the brand. And when we would talk to people about it, they would say, you know, they would try to pigeonhole us. Because back then it was, are you an urban brand? Are you a skate brand? Are you a surf brand? Are you a punk band? Punk brand? And Bobby and I'd be like, no, we're all of them. And like, what do you mean you can't be all of them? It's like, no, that's the way we grew up. Like I grew up an LA kid that did graffiti and played sports and listened to hip hop. And Bobby was a kid that grew up in Riverside listening to punk music and doing art and was a skateboarder. And so like we grew up with all these different influences in our life. And I feel like maybe that I had all these different interests. As I'm getting older, I still have a ton of interests. And so I try to build my world around these interests, whether it's fashion, whether it's art, whether it's food, building businesses around things you want to be a part of. And I feel like, you know, we started the Hundreds. It was a brand that at the time, you know, Bobby and I believed in, and like we wanted to be a part of it. And we believed like we were building it for us. When we built Family Style, we built that food festival as a food festival for us and something that we wanted to go to, something we wanted to hang out at, an experience we wanted to have. And now with the restaurant, I built a restaurant that, you know, I want to go to and I want to be a part of. And it's the same for me and my partners, like me, Jared, Kate, all of us. We put our influence in this place and we built a place that we want to hang out at. And we believe that if we want to hang out there, then everybody else is going to want to hang out there here also.
Does the community come from the product, or do you create the product for the community?
I don't know. I guess like the community, maybe it's a little mix of both. I think you build the product and then you build the community around the product. When I like really think about it, that's the way it worked at the Hundreds. And I can see it, you know, it's different here with the Benjamin because, you know, I'm born and raised here in LA, and over 21 years of being in business with the Hundreds, I have built a big community. And so now that I have this place, my community's coming to see me, and they're coming to experience this restaurant. But I'm saying that as we built this restaurant, and I can see a new community coming into the restaurant, and we're building a new foundation separate from anything I've done before. And I feel like we built this restaurant, and the community we all had is coming here, and it's even growing from what we have in the foundation we have. It's a new community and a new foundation.
But I also think as a founder and entrepreneur, you have like a spidey sense of detecting when there's something needed, right? It's almost like fulfilling a gap that you're observing, right?
Yeah.
And the Hundreds is what, 20 years now?
21 years.
21 years, my gosh.
Over 21 and a half years.
Wow. And the Hundreds was a massive catalyst for streetwear in LA. So 21 and a half years ago, what was the scene like then?
For streetwear?
For streetwear.
Oh man, it was so small. If you saw someone wearing a Supreme hat back then, like they were like, oh, you're cool. Like I know you. Like we're in the same world. Like if you saw someone wearing a cool sneaker in 2003, 2002, like it's like you gave them the nod, and it's like you both knew like, oh, you only got those sneakers from Union, and like we're one of like 100 people to have those shoes, right? Like
wow.
That's just the way it was. You go to New York, it was the same way. Like it doesn't matter. Everywhere in the world we traveled for the first like 5 years in business. When we would go to Europe, when we would go to New York, we would go to Asia. Like if you were wearing streetwear, it's like we all knew. Like if you were wearing Huff at the time, if you were wearing Mighty Healthy at the time, you were wearing Stussy, like doesn't matter. The world was that small.
Yeah.
Really, really that small. There was, and yeah, I mean, we built the Hundreds because we didn't think that LA had a brand representing the streetwear world at the time. Back then, New York streetwear was a very New York thing. It's funny saying that, but it was very Tokyo based. It was very New York based, and Bobby and I always believe that, LA was the birthplace. Southern California was a birthplace of streetwear, and we wanted to bring it back and be the brand for LA and to represent LA for the world with street culture.
Because it's these subcultures, right?
Yeah.
That really represent, I think, what really represents LA. And when you're in this early stage of like defining what this subculture looks like, because it's so visual, and defining what it represents for LA, and New York had a very specific look and feel. How were you defining that look?
Oh, I don't think honestly, we were not looking at it like that at all. We were just, we were young, and we wanted to make clothes for us that we thought were cool, and we wanted to build a store that we thought was cool, a place to hang out. We were building a brand that we thought we wanted to share with the rest of the world. And yeah, we had our look. We're a West Coast brand. We would always get shit from a lot of our distributors in Europe and accounts on the East Coast that like, oh, it's too LA, it's too California, you don't make jackets heavy enough. And it's like, yeah, we don't. Like I don't know what wearing a down jacket is. Like we don't wear that in LA. I'm sorry. Like we wear t-shirts and shorts and Dickies and worker jackets and workwear, and like that's the LA style, like I'm sorry. And so yeah, it wasn't, we never thought of it like we were just making a brand and making clothes and building a community around what we wanted to share with the world. We always say it's Los Angeles lifestyle and California culture. And that's what the Hundreds is based off of.
What was the alternative to starting the hundreds? Like what was the path that you were on right before deciding?
Bobby and I met in law school.
Okay.
And not that I ever thought that I would be an attorney. I did not. I never thought I would do that. I went to law school because my friends were going to law school, and my friends were studying for the bar. I was like, I'll study for the bar. Maybe I'll get into law school. And I got into school with a few friends, and I was like, I'll figure it out. Everyone always says, like, most people that go to law school aren't attorneys, and I'm the example of that. And so I don't know what I would have done.
Was there a particular practice in law that you were?
No. Bobby and I met first year. As soon as we started the brand, I pretty much knew that that's what I was going to do. Not that we were off to like a big hit, but like my spidey sense was telling me that this is what I was going to do. Yeah. And so I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have the hundreds. I would have finished law school. I mean, I did finish law school as it is, but I probably would have finished law school with maybe more purpose of getting into law, maybe for a little bit. Or to be honest with you, I probably would have found another business, or I would have gone into business doing something else with another friend of mine or something like that.
Did you always have like an entrepreneur spirit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I had my first business. My first business when I was in high school. My buddy Kia and I had a store at the swap meet in the Valley, and it was called K&B Clothing, and we sold dress shirts and ties and handkerchiefs and things like that we would buy from downtown LA and then bring it to the swap meet and sell it at the swap meet on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays.
You're in law school. You meet Bobby.
Yeah.
You guys decide that you want to start the hundreds clothing company, right?
It was really a project. We wanted to start a project where it was the summer. It was towards the end of first year of law school where we got together. It was originally 4 of us. It was me, Bobby, my best friend still to this day, Mac, and another good friend of ours in school, Drew. And we had this idea of like, let's start this brand and let's start this project where like we'll design t-shirts and we'll sell them, and like the t-shirts will all have stories and we'll put them in this, that, and the other store. By the end of summer, Drew was like, you guys have fun with this. You guys go ahead and do it. And then me, Bobby, and Mac started the brand. And after the first year, it was clear that Mac wanted to be an attorney and this wasn't for him. And Mac now is like one of the most successful attorneys in the city. And
no kidding.
Oh yeah. Mac's out of this world. And so Mac left the brand and Bobby and I fully took it over after the first year in business. And that's like the start of it. We went to the first store we sold to was Fred Siegel. God, man, I wish Fred Siegel, Santa Monica. There was a guy named Tony that we sold to there. We sold to Brooklyn Dom at Brooklyn Projects, which is just a few blocks away from here. Those were the first stores that we sold to.
What was the first? Do you remember the first piece of clothing that you guys designed?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What was the story?
We had a few T-shirts Bobby designed. One was an H logo in this Cooper font. It was an H period. There was another one called the Mic, which was an outline of Slick Rick holding going out to the crowd, holding the mic. There was another one called Guitar. Those were the first handful of shirts. There was a few more. And man, the shirts were so bad. They were so bad. Bobby's design was so bad. The product we made was so bad. We had no clue what we were doing.
Where were you sourcing the T-shirts? Because I'm imagining you guys
are back then
making it like in your apartment, right?
The first shirts that we had because at the time American Apparel was really big, and everyone's like, "Oh, you have to use American Apparel," and they were like these thin, light, drapey T-shirts, and those were the first like probably 50 shirts that we made were on American Apparel. And that did not last long. After that, we were like, dude, we're not an American Apparel t-shirt brand. Like,
No.
And then we quickly switched to all style t-shirts, which we would buy from downtown LA at this place called King Sportswear, which I also think King Sportswear is still there. But man, I bought from King Sportswear for the first like maybe 3 or 4 years we were in business. I would just go in there and buy everything all the time. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And you guys were like screen printing in an apartment, or
so the
where were
first
you actually
shirts,
making it?
no, the first shirts we did were, Bobby wrote a book about us and how we started the brand and everything. And there's a chapter and it talks about our friend Chris, goes by Chaos. And we didn't know what we were doing. I don't know how to print a t-shirt. I don't even know what the hell that meant back then. And my brother was like, I have a friend, Chaos. He can print the t-shirts for you. Like he's got a screen press and like, he'll do it in his backyard. And so we went there and we dropped off all of our shirts to him. And he, I still remember like we went there, me, Mac, and Bobby, and like, you know, first of all, he was like weeks late. Then like we started pulling out one shirt after another. The print is fucked up on all of them. They're backwards, upside down, wrong placement, And like, I remember like we were in my car driving away and I don't know who said it, but one of us was like, dude, we're out of business before we even like sold a t-shirt. Cause like we lost everything, you know?
This was the first order?
Yeah. And
for Fred Siegel?
And like luckily we like salvaged enough shirts to like put together an order and drop them off, and you know, they sold, and we figured out our way to get them to sell. Send our friends in there to buy a couple and ask about the brand, and you know, then we found Styx, who Mac's cousin put us in touch with because she had worked with them. And we worked with Styx for many, many years until we bought them years later. Yeah.
At what point does the project go from hobby to, okay, there's actually something here?
Probably after the first year, when we realized we were all looking at each other like, what are we going to do? And Mac was kind of like, you could see Mac's heart wasn't in it. And this was something that Bobby and I were very passionate about and what we wanted our future to be. And I think that's summer after our second year in law school, which was our first full year in business, is when we realized that, you know, we have something on our hands, and this is what we want to do. Bobby and I looked at each other like, this is what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like at that point also, early stages of like the Fairfax scene as well in Los Angeles. Like, how important did that street become for you guys, and also just LA?
Well, I think not even just LA. I mean, the street became the center and capital of streetwear in the world.
Yeah.
And back then there was no one there. We were really one of the first people there. Supreme by the time we opened up our office there, it was 2005. 2005. And the few stores that were there were Supreme had just opened up. Rick Klotz had a store there called Reserve. That was like a cool bookstore and like cool like apparel store. And then there was, that might have been it at the time. And then the rest of the street was like Jewish restaurants and Jewish stores. And, you know, slowly but surely, there was a record store that opened up. There was Sal Barbier opened up SLB, then Flight Club, the Hundreds, Hall of Fame. And then we started to build, Diamond opened up. We started to build a little community over there. Mm-hmm. And everybody came there. Huff opened up a store. John and Vin opened up Animal. I'm thinking of Tyler right now just because his new album came out, but like Tyler and Odd Future, they're Fairfax. Those kids came from Fairfax, and Tyler's one of the biggest musicians on the planet.
Yeah.
It birthed a lot of creativity, a lot of got a lot of great brands came from there. A lot of great brands grew up on that street underneath us. Musicians, actors, we've seen it all on Fairfax.
Collaborations in fashion is ubiquitous now, right? But
Yeah.
early on, you guys started doing it, and that was like a new thing.
Yeah, totally.
Why was collaborating such an important role for you guys?
Bobby and I never believed in traditional marketing. Still don't. You know, back then magazines were a thing, and we never wanted to put an, like, if you were a brand, you would put an ad in a magazine. It's something we didn't believe in. What we did believe in is working with friends and bringing their audience and our audience together, collaborating on something and selling it to them, and bringing the awareness to both brands, and still believe in that. And it's why we collaborated, why we have been doing collaborations for as long as we have. If you look back to our first line sheet, we have a collab on there, and it was a small one, but it's there. That was 21 years ago. And ever since then, it just, you know, we collaborated with Dom from Brooklyn Projects for our 1-year anniversary. And just like little by little over the years. And now it's to the point where, you know, a collab is just like, if you don't do a collab, it's like, hey, what, like, are you even a brand anymore? Right. But yeah, back then it was rare, and it didn't happen very often. And it was something that we felt was very important, and still think is very important.
Yeah. Do you carry what you learn with the hundreds now with the Benjamin?
Yeah.
What translates over to the restaurant industry?
Are we talking just the marketing side with collabs, or just I mean, look, in general, what I learned just being in business for as long as I have, things like people management. I think that's really important to a successful business is the team you have around you. Like, this is not my restaurant. This is our restaurant, right? Like, I'm not the one cooking the food. I'm not the one seating people and greeting people. I'm not the one making drinks. It takes a whole team to run this place. And so just, I think that the skills that I've learned as a people person and managing team and building team has really helped. I think that things like building community is really important, and something that I did for many years at the Hundreds, and it's what we built our business off of and still do with the Hundreds. And we're a very inclusive brand, and as hard as people might seem to think it is to get into this place, it's actually not that hard. And we are a very inclusive restaurant. We want everyone to eat here. It's just we have a small restaurant.
Right.
But I think the building community aspect is something that I really appreciate from my years of building the Hundreds and Family Style and our businesses there, and bringing that to the Benjamin. Marketing and collaborations are definitely something that I see us doing. I do see restaurants doing more of that. And look, I did it with the Hundreds and collaborating with restaurants. We did it for 15 years. For our first one, we did with a little burrito stand, Mexican restaurant on Fig, downtown LA.
No kidding.
Yeah, Burritos Las Palmas. Shout out to Miguel.
What was that collaboration like?
Wait, did I just say Burritos Las Palmas? What was the name of his? It's not Burritos Las Palmas. It's I have to call right now and ask, because I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah.
Please pick up. Bob, what's the name of the burrito spot on Fig that we used to go to that we did the collab with?
Wow, that's so sad.
What's the name of it? Miguel's spot. What's the name of it?
This is so sad.
Why am I? Oh, Las Casuela. No, fuck. It's the,
Whoa, what's going on?
what's the name of it?
La Taquilla.
La Taquiza. Wow. I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't believe I've totally forgot the name of it.
Who are you? What's wrong with you?
Had a late night last night. Let me live.
No, there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry.
I'm in an interview right now, and I'm calling you in the middle of the interview because I'm started talking about La
What did you
Taquiza.
order there?
A burrito.
Not a burrito.
Hold on. A burrito, carne asada burrito, grilled onions,
Okay.
no rice.
Yeah.
Let all the juice sip down to the bottom of that burrito. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't forget my order.
Jesus Christ.
Bye.
Bye.
So our first collab,
amazing.
our first collab was not Burritos Las Palmas. I'm sorry. Our first collab was with La Taquiza on Fig. It's right by USC. We used to eat there all the time because our law school, we were in law school, we used to go there. And yeah, Miguel was the best. And we made our first shirt, our first collab restaurant t-shirt with La Taquiza. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
15, 16 years ago now. Maybe more than that. Probably 17 years ago. I'm willing to bet that was like 2005. We did that, 2006.
You've already used one lifeline, the call a friend lifeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't have to use another.
Good old Bobby.
Yeah.
Going to save.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why was the...
Jesus.
That's funny. Where did the love for restaurant culture come about for you?
I think that just over the years, as we were getting older, Bobby and I, we traveled a lot for work, and we always wanted to always have like a good meal. And the more we traveled, the more we were like hunting for good restaurants. And then when we were home, we were hunting for good restaurants. And like when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, I don't care who you are, you don't know anything about food. And we knew nothing, but we were searching, and we were trying, and we were looking for everything that we were eating, anything and everything that we could eat. And we were the guys that, like, at the time, you know, all of our friends would be like going out to the club and like popping bottles, and sure, we would go out and visit them, but like our priority was like, let's go have dinner first, and like, let's go have a good dinner first. And even our teams over the year, when we would travel with our team would be like, are we going out? We're like, oh, we're going to dinner tonight. And we would always do like big, you know, 6, 10, 12 person dinners all the time, Bobby and I. Whether we were in New York, San Francisco, when we were in Europe traveling for shows, visiting accounts, we would always prioritize eating out. And yeah, I think that, and then eventually over time, a lot of restaurateurs and chefs in town were peers. And I think that they respected what Bobby and I were doing. And they also respected that we were interested in what they were doing. And so we just became friends with a lot of chefs here in town and would eat at their restaurants. And like, I didn't realize how important Animal was when it was open, like early on, because those are just my friend's restaurant. Like John and Vin, like those are my boys. Like before they opened the restaurant, we had a party in their space. They let us throw our holiday party there one year. And like, they would, like I would just smoke weed in the back alley with them, you know, like those were the guys, like they were just like Fairfax guys, and they opened up like, oh yeah, we're opening up this restaurant, Animal. I'm like, cool. And like, we would just go there and eat. Like, I didn't think that it was anything crazy. Those were just my, you know, and like, there was a few more places like that over the years. And so I think the older we got and the more we traveled and the more we ate out, I just like started to grow more and more an appreciation of food. And probably about 7 or 8 years ago was when I started sharing like Bobby and I actually always shared what we ate. I remember Vlad, our buddy Vlad from New York, would always be like, yo, don't blow up the spot, yo. You know, like, don't put this on blast. I know you guys are going to blow it up. You know, like he would always kill us for it. And so, yeah, like we would always share. But there was a point probably 7 or 8 years ago where I just started to share more food on my social. and people really started like taking note of it and would like send me messages. Oh, I went there because of you. And so I started doing it more and more. And now like you go to my Instagram page and it's pretty much just all food recommendations and where I've eaten and what I like. And I used to tell people what I don't like. And that used to be Bobby's favorite thing about my Instagram, because a lot of people back then especially weren't really sharing what they don't like. I have stopped doing that publicly. Privately, if you want to know what I don't like, you can ask me, no problem. But and so I think I grew a pretty good following, and people really trust my taste. When I hosted the TV show on Tastemade and
The Big Appetite.
Yeah. And so we did the food festival, then the show, and it kind of led me to this. But yeah, my appreciation for food really started as I got older. And I'm sitting here saying this, like I ate when I was a kid. My mom was a great chef, would cook dinner for us 4 or 5 nights a week, and like big meals. Like it was never like one dish. And I still cook like this when I cook for my kids. Like I can't just make like one thing. Like I have to make like 3 or 4 things. And so we ate like that, and we wouldn't eat out that often. And when we would, it would be like Sizzler or Red Lobster. Like my brother loved Red Lobster, or like Mandarin Tiger, or Pizza Cookery, just like, mom and pop shops down the street, or, chains like Sizzler and Red Lobster, stuff like that.
Growing up in a Mexican household, it was the same thing. Like mom was the chef, and she would just make dish after dish, and it was just like a massive spread. And it's always just like overeating, and just like it was incredible. And then when we did go out to eat, which was very rare or only on like special occasions, we'd go out to like Olive Garden. To me, that was Olive Garden was like the French Laundry.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're like, we're going to Olive Garden, like you get all dressed up, and it was like, that's fine dining.
My kids will never experience that, because we go out to dinner, right? Like the local Pizza Cookery. Like we used to go to Pizza Cookery in the Valley. It was my dad's client, and we would go there like on Thursday nights, or like my dad would pick it up and bring it home on random night a week. But like for my kids, like it's John and Vinny's. Like that's there, like, and like it's like a nice like
It's really nice.
Like my kids this weekend, they went to Antico, and I was like, what? I was like, I haven't even been to Antico in a year. You guys went there? Like what? Like that's like that. The kids will never know. But yeah, I grew up like going to like a Persian restaurant was like a very big deal. That was like a special occasion. Was going to like the nice Persian restaurant in the Valley.
Building community makes complete sense for you now. Like understanding how you like to spend your time, and how you wanted to have these like big team dinners, invite people over to the dinner table. I grew up in a house where my mom hosted all the time, and so it was very normal for me to have people in the house, or going to my cousin's house, and like my aunt would host people, and like I grew up in a world where that was very normal. To have a lot of people around and to host people. And I even still to this day, like I enjoy that in my own home. I love having a lot of people at my house. I love cooking for a lot of people. I love having my friends and family over. My friends always ask, like, what do you want to do for your birthday? And my birthday, it's like, everyone come to my house, and like, I'm going to barbecue for us all. And so doing the food festival was also really natural to me too. Because when's your birthday? I'm going to put it in my calendar. Make sure I'm free.
I'm a Taurus. So doing the food festival was very natural for me, because I was playing host to like 15,000 people for one day of the year. And like, I didn't mind at all walking around, shaking hands, kissing babies, hanging out with friends, like, telling them where to eat, what to eat. And even now with the restaurant, like, I'm like welcoming people into my home every night. That's the way it feels. And I absolutely love it. I say it all the time that, people are always like, are you tired? Like, you work so much. Like, how are you here? How are you there every night? And I'm like, the second I walk into this place, it's like an adrenaline rush. Like totally, I'm wide awake and ready to go. I don't need coffee. I don't need anything. I just walk into the building. I get here usually I try to be here by 6 o'clock or so. And I'm ready to go for the night. I'm just bouncing off the wall. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What'd you like? What didn't you like? Do you need anything? Oh, you should order this.
Yeah.
I'm full of energy once I'm in this place. I love it in here.
What are the ingredients that make a community possible? Like, what are the mechanisms in order to foster a community?
You got all the good hard questions today. I think that, a community is just built around a lot of like-minded people that share a common interest, right? And they want to celebrate this thing that they have in common. Like when I think about a community, like the, community that, I'm going to use Tyler as another example right now, just because of his new album, and he just had an album release party, and like just seeing what he has done with his community. He serves them up a festival. He puts music out for them. He puts this listening party together for them, and his community is a group of people that have this bond over him and his music and what he has built over. I think he's been making music for maybe 11 or 12 years now, 13 years now. And I'm hoping to build the same thing. I built that with the Hundreds, and what we did with the Hundreds, Bobby and I, we built this community. We built a world around our interests. And this community that fell in love with the clothing that we make has also grown up. And so over the years, what have we done? Bobby wrote a book and has written a couple of books for them. We created a food festival. So a place for one day for our whole entire community, all walks of life, can come and experience our world and our interests for a day. Now I have a restaurant for this community to come and experience. And I think that, and Bobby also is working on some things for our community as well that people will be finding out over the next little bit. And so I think it's community is really built off of this love and care for an interest that everyone wants to come together and experience together.
Mm-hmm. Not so different than hospitality.
No, I guess not.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning that right now.
Starting a community is easier than maintaining a community. Like fostering it, taking care of it year after year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like watering a plant.
Yeah.
It really is. It is a lot of work to maintain and keep a community together. And also, it's hard because also people change, and people's interests change, and life changes, and so it's twofold. You have to keep watering that plant in order for it to grow, and with a community, you have to keep. You're going to lose some people, and you have to keep growing at a pace to keep growing your community as well. So you have to continue to outgrow what you're losing in order to keep the community strong. And so, yeah, it's hard. You've got to come up with all different kinds of tactics and different ways to keep feeding your community and keep them engaged, and remind them that you're still here and you're still doing what you're doing. Right. So that they don't leave, and that you're still interesting, and that you deserve their attention.
What do you feel like you have had to sacrifice or lose in order to be where you are now?
That's my time. I've had to sacrifice a lot of my time. Like looking back, especially over the years of the Hundreds, there's been a lot of time that I've missed with my family, with my friends. And I'm old enough now to appreciate what I have, and also old enough to appreciate that, work is not your whole entire life, and that I have to make time for my family, my kids, my parents, my brothers, and for my friends too. That my life does revolve around work, but work doesn't run my life.
Let's talk about the restaurant. Michael Scott once said, explain it to me like I'm 5. How do you open a restaurant?
I can't tell you how you can open a restaurant. I can tell you how I opened a restaurant, which I don't know if this is like the normal way to open up a restaurant. But yeah, opening up this place, it was something inside of me told me it was time to do this. And I tell the story all the time that, I went to 3 friends and I asked them like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And all 3 are successful chefs and restaurateurs here in town. And the first one was, definitely don't do it. You sell t-shirts, you're really good at it, you make a lot of money doing it. Like, don't jump into this world. His business partner, also a very good friend of mine, was like, if anyone can do it, it's you. It's going to be really hard, but you have the skill set, you have the taste, and you could figure it out. And plus, that we all have your back. And then my third friend, another successful chef and restaurateur here in town, was like, fuck yeah, what do you need? I gotta have your back. Like, 1,000% you're gonna do this. Just you tell me what you need. And so they 2 versus 1. So that's what led me to do it. Once I figured out I want to do it, I've been friends with Jared for, since he opened. I met him at El Carmen 20-something years ago.
Who's Jared again?
Jared's my business partner here at the restaurant. Jared, I met 20-something years ago. He's a very successful operator, has a lot of bars, has had restaurants here in town. I've known him for a long time, very well respected in the city. And I went to him and we always talked about working together. And we joked about it, and, we flirted with the idea some time ago. And when I was ready, I was like, hey, I think like I want to do this. What do you think? And he was like, I never want to open a restaurant again, but with you, I'll do it. And we got together, we started looking for some spaces, in 23, we're in 24 now. So 23, summer, we found a space, we negotiated on it. Didn't work out. It was too expensive.
What part of town was that?
Just down the street from here on Melrose.
Okay.
Friends of mine took the space and built another restaurant in there that's doing really well. So I'm glad someone took it.
Nice.
Then I had the food festival in 23. And then after the food festival, Jared called me and was like, hey, let's have dinner. I think I want to show you something. After dinner, he brought me over here.
To this space.
We drove by it. And he's like, what do you think? We stood at the outside. We got out of the car. We stood outside and looked at it for like 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, this is sick. And next day we came back, walked it. And he's like, it's available. He's like, my landlord in Silver Lake owns the building. Like, they're leaving. They're ready to get out. Like, what do you think? And like, we jumped in. And yeah, we.
What was this?
It was a Mexican restaurant right before, and upstairs was a bar called Bathtub Gin, and so yeah, these guys were not, they were not cutting it, and right around that same time, I had met Kate, and
The third business partner.
Yeah, Kate Burr. I had met Kate, and we had dinner one night, and I just started telling her about the project, and we talked about it, and I could see her enthusiasm around it. And this restaurant was the exact kind of restaurant she felt the city needed as well. And she comes from the food space and has been a part of it for many years. And her experience was something that I thought Jared and I needed. So I introduced her to Jared, and three of us had breakfast at John and Vinny's one morning. And Jared was like, yeah, she's cool. Like, she can help. Like, I think we should bring her on. And so we brought Kate on, and that was like the beginning of the restaurant for us. We found the space. Jared, we all knew, the concept behind what I wanted to do here is exactly what you're seeing, like a restaurant built around a bar, serving a really nice bar burger, and like really simple but refined American food. And our menu is not rocket science. It's all food everyone is familiar with. Just my goal was to try to make the best version of that kind of food, of this kind of food. Sorry. And so, yeah, we found a chef, worked with him on developing the menu. We built the space out. We knew we wanted this space to be a space that felt very warm, very inviting, somewhere you have felt like you have been before. We wanted you to walk in through the door and be transported somewhere else, like you're not in LA anymore. Yet you knew you were in LA. A room that you felt like you visited 20 years ago. But really it's brand new, a space that was just very inviting, and a place that like you didn't want to leave and you wanted to hang out and have a good time with your friends. This is all the steps that were taken to build this place.
When I was here having dinner with a friend, we were having this conversation about this place feels familiar and nostalgic, even if you didn't grow up in Hollywood, didn't grow up in the old Hollywood. We have this like idea of what old Hollywood looks like and feels like, even smells like. And it's so interesting how we fill the gaps in our memory, even if they've never existed in our past, of fulfilling our own story of what we think old Hollywood was. And there's an art to it. There's an art to that storytelling. And I wanted to ask you, how important is storytelling in everything that you do?
Man, it's the most important thing. It was always the most important thing that we did at the Hundreds, and I brought that experience here to the Benjamin as well. I think that the storytelling behind every dish, I could tell you a story about almost every dish on the menu, why it's on the menu or what it is. When I walk through friends or anyone through the menu, there are certain sections where I'll stop and I'll really recite them stories about certain dishes because I think it's important. And the same with this space here, that there is such a story to be told, and that's part of the experience in this restaurant is this old world energy but new school feel. And that's what we were going for at this place, like a place that really felt familiar and somewhere you've been before, but also you haven't. And so you're comfortable here and you're comfortable sitting in here, but it's also like new and exciting for you at the same time. And I think that plays into the whole experience of eating at the Benjamin. Yeah.
What are some of those stories for the dishes?
Like I always get to the salad section, and we have 3 salads on the menu. We have 4 salads on the menu, but in the salad section we have 3. I say that the gem salad's my favorite, and because I like a really simple green salad. There's nothing really to it. I talk about the green goddess salad, that one of my good friends and one of the few people I really trust with their taste in food, and one is really one of the best chefs in the country, had dinner here and was like, this is a perfect salad, perfect dressing, perfect everything, which I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, I have absolutely no notes about this salad. And so like, I was like, sick, like, thank you. That's our goddess salad. And our chopped wedge was supposed to be like this beautiful wedge salad. And the story with that one is, and I wrote about it on our Instagram, is, one of my very close friends, childhood close friends, we say we're cousins, is Mike Amiri. And Mike, big supporter of the restaurant. When we were putting the menu together and I was talking to him about it, he's like, you're gonna have a wedge on the menu, right? And I was like, no, I don't think so. It's like a steakhouse. And he's like, no, you're gonna have a wedge. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to have a wedge on the menu. Like, that's like you're gonna do a new collection for the hundreds and you're not gonna put a t-shirt in there. And I'm like, Mike, stop, man. Like, I know what I'm doing. And so we worked on the wedge and we didn't open with it, but like about a month in, we put it on the menu. And then Mike came in a few nights and asked for it chopped, and chef did it just for him. And then after a while, like, we were like, we should just chop the salad. It's better that way. Thinking that, we originally had wanted to do a chopped wedge, but it wasn't right. And we had done like this pretty wedge and like it's photographed really well. And it was really nice. But then Mike kept coming in and ordering it chopped. So we added a chopped wedge. We turned our wedge salad into a chopped wedge, which is our best-selling salad on the menu now.
Amazing.
And I don't think you see a chopped wedge salad the way we do on very many menus in Los Angeles. So
there's like a sense of curiosity and wonder that I hear from you, almost like this childlike tenacity of wanting to try new things, and you're just like excited to share, right?
yeah.
And I think that also defines your taste. And I think now more than ever, taste is so important. People that are able to curate. When we're in a world of like algorithms and everyone's just the tech just telling you this is what you should look, and this is what you should like.
I don't trust any of those.
Neither do I.
No, none. I can't. And if you, I don't. No one on TikTok is telling me where to eat. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't trust any of them. I don't believe any of them. Like, it's what I said earlier. Like, most people, like, it takes years and years and years of eating and traveling and experience to develop like a certain level of taste. And then plus also, I think you just have to have good taste. Like, you have to, it takes time, but also like some people know, like, some people have good taste in clothing or how to dress. Mm-hmm. And no matter how many years you dress yourself, like, there's just some people that have like a better eye for dressing yourself, or building a room, or furnishing a house, right? Like, doesn't matter how many times or years you're going to do it. Like, some people just have that in them. And I think it's the same thing with food too. That some people just, not only they have the years and experience and they're well-traveled, but they just have the it in them to tell you that, yes, this is really good. You should eat there, or you should do that. And so, yeah, I really don't trust the algorithm, and because there's too many of them.
How do you develop that muscle though? That muscle for curation, that muscle for taste, for style. Obviously it comes natural to many people, and I'm sure it comes very natural to you, but early on, even going back to the early stages of the hundreds, it's also about observing and immersing yourself as much as possible with other different things that develop your tastes, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I've always cared about how I dressed and what I look like. And I always cared about fashion from a very young age. I cared about food at a young age and where we ate and what we ate. And I think and for both of those, which are really at the center of my life now, I think that it's a big was me just diving headfirst into both and really showing that I care. The biggest thing for me with this restaurant has been the amount of other chefs and restaurateurs that I've had come and eat at the restaurant, especially in the first few months of us being open. And I think that's just that's they want to come and support me because of I have jumped into that world, even though I wasn't part of the world. You know, like this is new to me. I've only been a restaurateur for 4 months. But for the last 10, 15 years, I have been such a part of that food world and food community, and not like I've been on as a fan, but also as a friend to most of these chefs and restaurateurs. And I've been a big champion of eating out and eating with friends. I say it all the time on my Instagram, like take the time to go eat with your friends. It's the best part of life. Like it's my favorite thing to do is eat my friends, eat with my family, eat out, big meals, laughs, drinks, hanging out. Like those are memories that you'll hold on to and you'll remember. Like you'll never have a bad night if you're eating with friends, you know? And I truly believe that. And so, you know, how do you flex that muscle, or how do you build that muscle up? I think a lot of it is just years of experience and practice, and like, you know, not giving up and continuing to, you know, for me, a lot of it is just continuing to grow and develop. And I don't lose my curiosity bone. I'm always trying to learn, and I'm always trying to experience, and I'm always tasting things. I tell people all the time, you know, I like to eat at every restaurant because you don't know what's good until you know what's bad. Like you can't just eat at good restaurants. You can't just eat at places that everyone tells you is good, because you don't develop any real taste. Like you have nothing to compare it to. I think you have to eat all kinds of food and all kinds of restaurants and all kinds of places and all kinds of experiences to know what is a good experience versus a bad experience.
What have been the most impactful stories in your life? What are the stories that really defined who you are?
I don't know if it's necessarily stories. I like when I think about like me as an entrepreneur and my experiences and what led me to who I am now. Like I look at role models, and it's funny thinking about this. Yeah, just role models. My dad, he works hard, still works hard. He's 83 years old and still works 7 days a week. And just seeing that influence in me as I've gotten older.
He's
I think
still
that,
working.
Yeah. He's addicted to work. And look, I'm not addicted to work the way he is. I do work a lot and I love it. But just seeing that as a role model really pushed me and continues to push me, because I see how hard he still works. You know, look, we're two different people, and I have a very different style of running business and doing things the way my dad did, but does still. But but having that as a role model, and seeing how hard he worked and continues to do so really drives me as a man and as an entrepreneur to just to continue to grow and continue to you know, be a better entrepreneur.
Was he an entrepreneur himself?
My dad is an accountant, CPA, financial manager. He has had different businesses over the years, but that's really what he does. And I think that like my creative and curiosity bone comes from Kate told me not to cry. We're talking about it because I don't think I've ever said it to anybody. But my creative and curiosity bone comes from my mom. Got me. Yeah. Just having her in my life, as she's just, you know, you came to my house when you were if you came to my house when I was younger, my mom always cared about the way the house looked and the way she dressed and the way she presented herself and the way the house was presented. And she always she cared about art. She cared about what was on the walls. She cared about what rugs we had on the floor. She cared about furniture. She cares about, but always like in her own way, always, you know, cooking and food presentation. And she always was always curious to learn more about just life. Never wanted to like sit still, and she always pushed herself. Yeah, I think that, you know, those are things that like help really shape, not so much stories, I guess. Sorry, I didn't get to answer your question fully, but just those experiences and role models that I had growing up helped really shape a big part of who I am today.
The love for hospitality makes complete sense now. And community, feeding people, taking care of people. It sounds like you had that with your family.
Yeah, absolutely. I did. It was really nice.
I want to end with, why are you here doing what you do? The impact that you're trying to make in this universe. What led you to being here?
Life takes you all over the place. I'm not sure why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know that I'm doing what I love. I'm passionate about everything that I do. You know, I mentioned earlier that I have tried to build things around my passion, whether it was the hundreds, and when we built the hundreds, it was built around, and still continues to be built around, the things Bobby and I love. Having the food festival, a passion of mine, bringing people together, and sharing our love for food, fashion, and then open up this restaurant that, you know, the food and restaurant world, really something I'm passionate about. And these are all things that I wanted to be a part of, and I wanted to build these worlds that I wanted to be a part of. Build the hundreds clothing, and this clothing and this storytelling brand that I wanted to be a part of, that I wanted to wear. Build a festival that I wanted to go to, and build a restaurant that I wanted to eat at and experience and hang out at and drink at. And, you know, I think that my goal moving forward for anything that I do will always be that. I didn't even realize that I was really doing that until after I opened the restaurant. Yeah, I think that moving forward, everything I do will be built around something that I love and something that I'm passionate about, or somewhere I want to go, or something I want to do, or something I want to wear. I think that that's really important in life. I'm like, as older I get, the more I realize how short life is and how fast it goes. And
Yeah.
I want to spend my time doing things that I love and experiencing it with people I love, and sharing those experiences with people. And, you know, I don't want to look back and have too many regrets on things. And I feel that if I'm doing what I love every day, I won't have very many.
There must be such a powerful feeling to be able to create something that matters to you, the space that you want to be in, the festival that you want to go to, build a clothing brand with the clothes that you want to wear. And then with that comes a whole audience that says, yeah, me too. And to join you on that world that you've built.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I have had good partners. I have that spidey sense, and we're really lucky that people believe in what we have built from 20 years ago up until 4 months ago with this restaurant. I hope we could keep it going for forever.
At this rate, I'm sure you will, my friend. And we're also very grateful as like Angelinos and the people that get to experience what you've created, because more than ever, I feel like having curators, having people like yourself, founders and entrepreneurs that are building these businesses and brands where they feel authentic and you feel cared for.
It's something that Bobby and I have always talked about too. And it became like kind of like a buzzword for some years. Like you need to create a brand that's authentic, or you have to be authentic. And like for a while there, it was like kind of cheesy to say that, and still is kind of, but like for us, it's like, there's no other way. Like, what do you mean you have to create a brand that's authentic? No, you be yourself.
Yeah.
Like you run the business the way you are. Like you open a restaurant like the way you want it to be. Like you don't like create this fake world around this brand, this festival, this restaurant, this world. Like, no, you be yourself. Like that's the way it should be. What do you mean? Like you have to be authentic? No, like what? I never understood like why do you even have to say that to someone?
Right.
Because that's just the way we've always been.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Fun talk.